Hey everyone, I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me today because, wow, we are going to unpack one of the most mesmerizing, soul-stirring stories ever written. Today's explainer dives deep, and I mean deep, into the heart of Elif Shafak's celebrated novel, The 40 Rules of Love, or, as it's known in the absolutely beautiful Persian translation we're drawing from today, Melat-e-Eshk. We're going to visually explore the legendary, completely earth-shattering connection between two historical giants, Rumi and Shams of Tabriz. Real quick, before we get swept away into the 13th century, I've got a small favor to ask. If you're someone who loves to really look past the superficial surface of great literature, if you actually want to understand the profound ideas that have shaped human history, hit that subscribe button for the Fastbook channel. By subscribing, you're joining this awesome community of focused learners dedicated to deep dives exactly like this one. Trust me, you absolutely won't want to miss what we have coming up next. All right, let's kick off this explainer with a question that has, quite literally, fascinated historians and spiritual seekers for 8 centuries. How did a wandering beggar transform a rigid, wealthy scholar into the world's greatest poet of love? I mean, it sounds like a fairy tale, right? But this is actual history. It's the story of this massive collision between two completely different lives and the total explosion of creativity and controversy that followed. Part 1. The Wandering Dervish, a force of nature in the 13th century. So, you've got to understand, this was an era of endless chaos. The world was literally trapped between crusaders pushing from the west and Mongols invading from the east. And walking right through the dead center of all this bloodshed was a nomadic, completely rule-breaking dervish named Shams of Tabriz. To really get Shams's radical nature, you just have to compare him to the societal norms of his day. Picture these two totally opposite figures. First, you have the Qadi, the chief judge of Baghdad. The source text describes him as this wealthy, highly arrogant man with a massive belly, draped in expensive silks and wearing heavy, costly rings. Basically, the ultimate symbol of superficial authority and materialism. Then you have Shams, a ragged, wandering dervish with a razor-sharp tongue who couldn't care less about status or wealth. When these two meet, Shams just completely pierces through the Qadi's pompous exterior. You see, Shams wasn't looking for followers or comfort. He was desperately searching for a true, spiritual companion. But Shams wasn't just some rebel. He was an incredibly profound mystic. During a debate with that wealthy judge, Shams explains his whole philosophy by breaking down the 4 levels of meaning in the Quran. Step 1 is the literal, outward meaning. Step 2 is the deeper, inner meaning. Step 3 is the inner of the inner. And step 4, well, it's a depth so profound it literally cannot even be put into words. The crucial takeaway here is that Shams was always seeking the deepest, unspoken truths. He totally believed that rigid religious laws were just the outer shell, but love and spiritual connection, those were the infinite depths inside.
Part 2. The Collision of Two Oceans. The 1244 AD meeting. Okay, let's shift gears and move from Baghdad over to Konya. This is where Rumi, who at the time was a universally respected Orthodox scholar but secretly starving for a true experience of the divine, is about to have his entire world completely upended by Shams.
There is this beautifully evocative metaphor from our source text to describe their legendary meeting. It says their bond was like 2 oceans merging into one, an ocean seeking a river, right? It was profound. It was electric. Rumi finally found the exact spiritual mirror he had been searching for his whole life. And Shams, he found the one soul in the entire world capable of understanding his immense spiritual weight. This wasn't just 2 smart guys having a chat. It was a total, absolute spiritual fusion.
Part 3. The scholar becomes a mystic, a radical transformation. So, behind closed doors, for months on end, Rumi literally locks himself away with this wandering dervish. He completely abandons his very public, very prestigious lectures to undergo this monumental internal shift. The before and after of this meeting is just staggering. Before Shams, Rumi was your universally respected, orthodox scholar. He was preaching fixed rules in the mosque. Very secure, very settled, and very rigid. But after Shams, Rumi transforms into a highly controversial, whirling dervish. He completely abandons the strict rigidity of his past life to become this ecstatic poet and a fierce, fierce defender of love. He traded the complete safety of his pulpit for a liberated, expressive, and deeply spiritual path of mysticism. He stepped right out of the safe boundaries of conventional religion and dove headfirst into the boundless universe of divine love. Part 4. Jealousy, Death, and Legacy. The Price of Unconventional Love.
Now, as you can probably imagine, the townspeople of Konya could not comprehend their great respected scholar abandoning them for some wandering beggar. And this intense exclusive bond sparked some incredibly dangerous jealousy.
It's honestly wild when you trace the timeline of all this, because it shows just how incredibly fast everything happened. In 1244 AD, we get that legendary meeting of the two oceans. Then, from 1244 to 1247, they share just 3 brief years of intense spiritual companionship. Just 3 years! And then by 1247 AD, the jealousy completely peaks. The hostility of the townspeople reaches a total boiling point, leading to Shams' sudden and truly tragic disappearance. Whether he was murdered or forced to flee in the middle of the night, he was just gone. 3 short years was all it took to turn Rumi's world entirely upside down.
And that brings us to the ultimate profound irony of our whole explainer today. The devastating loss of Shams completely shattered Rumi, but it was exactly this heartbreak, this massive gaping void left by the disappearance of his spiritual mirror, that forced Rumi to pour his soul into poetry. As the text explicitly points out, this agonizing separation is exactly what birthed the Shakespeare of the Islamic world. This immense grief acted as the ultimate catalyst, transforming his tears into the immortal verses of love, longing, and spiritual unity that we still revere today.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. 800 years later, through every translated poem, through every single mention of divine love, aren't the spirits of Rumi and Shams still whirling right here among us? Their story is the ultimate proof that true connection transcends time, logic, and societal rules. I really want you to think about what rules of love govern your own life today. And hey, if this journey through history, literature, and the human soul resonated with you at all, please make sure to hit subscribe on the Fast Book channel. We have so many more incredible stories to visually unpack together. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.